that have absolutely zero desire to move back to Ghana. Right now, Ghana still has electricity problems. It still has water problems. It still has infrastructure problems. Life in the West is very stressful. We all know that. Do you know how many people book my Airbnb because they don't want to go and stay with family when they come to Ghana? Hey, where are you going at this time of the night? What time will you be back? You know, your life is at risk or what, you don't know. You just see that there's a hole in the floor. The cho-cho is going, it's very difficult to cut certain family members off, even if they're toxic. You know, the West also offers us comfort and convenience. Right? Ghanaians like to judge each other, okay? Let me say it here. The system is not really built well to accept returnees. So Ghana will welcome you with words, but frustrate you with systems. And hey guys, welcome back. Arik. Today's video, I want us to talk about why it is that, you know, there are some Ghanaians of a particular age that never seem to want to come back to Ghana. I want to focus on them specifically, right? The reason I want to focus on that is because I feel like it gives us a little bit more insight into how the country is moving forward, and also for those of you that might be curious, that are thinking about moving to Ghana and want to know what stops other people, because, you know, often that kind of helps us in our decision making, right? We want to know why some people don't want to do. Why does everyone not want to move to Ghana, especially if you're Ghanaian? Why do you not want to move to Ghana? So let's talk about that a little bit. Now, I've slightly touched on this video before, so it may be similar, but I'm still going to do this video anyway because I feel like it's an important one, right? Okay, so there's a particular generation, I would say, like my parents especially, but not just like my parents' age, right? There's even a younger age, because what tends to happen is people that were born in Ghana, right? Born, raised in Ghana, you left at a certain age, they go to the West, but they never seem to want to come back to Ghana. And why is that? Why is it that where Ghana is now appealing to so many people right now, okay? Everybody kind of, not everybody, well, a lot of people want to, you know, do the Ghana experience. At least they want to come for a little while and experience what Ghana is all about, what the hype is about. You know, they just want to have a different type of lifestyle, right? But then there are some who are born in Ghana that have absolutely zero desire to move back to Ghana. Why is that? What is happening with them? There are a few things that are putting people off actually making the move and coming back to Ghana, right? The first one is the fear of instability, okay? Because you think about it, if you were born in Ghana and you've now seen Ghana in a particular way, right? Ghana developed so fast. There have been so many changes over the last few years. I've said it before, like even the last 10 years that I've been in Ghana, I've seen so many changes. So I can't imagine how much Ghana has changed to someone who's been away for 10, 20 years. It has just changed so much. But the thing is, you still have reminiscence of what it was like to live there all those years ago. Even though you know that, okay, Ghana's it changed, you know, it's probably improved a bit. You still have in the back of your mind that, you know what, there are some things about Ghana like, I'm not going back there, you know. After experience possible hardship, right? And then moving to the West and experiencing a completely different life. Why would you want to go back to that, right? Because we all know that right now, Ghana still has electricity problems. It still has water problems. It still has infrastructure problems. Like, that's what's going to face people if they want to return. And I'm not even just focusing on the older generation, as I said before. I'm focusing on people that even some of them are my age, right? Some of them my age left when they were like 10, 12, whatever, right? And they haven't had the desire to move back because they experienced some of these things as a child and they just don't want to experience them anymore, right? The West exposes us to certain things, right? You don't have to deal with electricity problems. Like all of a sudden you've got stable electricity. And I know exactly what that feels like, because even though I've only been in Ghana for 10 years, 11 years, right? When I came abroad and I was like, I didn't realize how anxious I was about light off. And so at certain points in the day, even if I hear a noise, I'm like, oh, is that light off? Like I jump, and I haven't even been there that long. And so I didn't realize how programmed I had been to certain things. Like I get in the shower and I'm like, oh, the water's immediately hot. Like I have solar, so sometimes it takes a little while for it to warm up. But it's like, you're conscious of certain things. I'm like, okay, I don't want the hot water to run out, you know. Like you're thinking about these things, like, you know, is the pressure going to be enough? The water, like, and then when I came to the West, I'm like, I have to remember that I don't need to think about those things anymore, you know. And so it's so weird how much Ghana conditions you to certain hardships until you come back out. So I can't imagine what it's like if you've grown up with that and then move to the West, and then you're going to have the fear of going back. Because even when I go back, I'll probably be thinking, oh my gosh, light off. Oh, in fact, it did happen the last time I was in the States and I went back to Ghana. That was definitely on my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, when is this light off thing going to happen? Like, it was just, there was definitely a slight anxiety there. I was like, oh gosh, it's going to be light off again. Let me make sure I've done this, that, and the other, even though I have solar. But still, I still had it in the back of my mind. Oh, it's going to be light off. You know, when the power comes back in, you don't want it to damage your appliances. So you're thinking about that. So when it's light off, I usually turn off the fuse so that when the power comes back on, it doesn't come back with a jolt and damage my stuff. And so these things you just don't realize that you have. So for those that have traveled to the West and been in the West for so long, those anxieties are very, very real, very real. And so I can only imagine what it must feel like at the thought of moving back to Ghana. You know, life in the West is very stressful. We all know that. Life in the West is definitely not perfect. There are things that are not going to make you happy. It's like you're constantly working, this rat race. You know, you don't really have time for yourself. But you know what? Even though there's all that stress, life is predictable. You know day in, day out exactly what is going to happen, right? You know exactly where you stand. And although some people might look at that as a negative, because I do, I definitely find that a negative, right? I'm not somebody who likes predictable. I don't like predictable all the time. I don't like to think of every day, this is my routine. Wake up, shower, go get ready for work, do this, do that, come back, repeat, rinse, repeat. Like I can't live that life. It crushes me, right? And so, but that's because I have an entrepreneurial spirit. Now, if I was a 9-to-5er, I'd probably enjoy those things, right? To some degree, because no one wants to work all the time. But, you know, to some degree, I would enjoy the structure. Whereas Ghana, like, every day is so different. If you've ever been to Ghana or you've ever lived in Ghana, you'll know what I'm talking about. Every single day can be completely different. You could pick up one day and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to go to Cape Coast. I'm going to go to Nigeria for the weekend. I'm going to do that. Like, your accessibility to be able to do certain things is just off the chain. And so I can see why some people would like that and some people wouldn't. So that's probably going to be split down the line, where some people love the predictability of what the UK or America offers, right? But other people are not going to particularly enjoy that. But for some people, they can handle the stress. The stress is less stress to them. Like, the stress that they know in the West is better stress than the stress that they're going to have when they come to Ghana, because, you know, we have our issues in Ghana. Now, UK definitely has its issues too, but you understand that what those are, and you understand that there are systems in place should you run into anything. And that's the difference right there. Also, we have to understand that, you know, after fighting for so many years to build a life in the West, to have that, to now perhaps own a house or just have a house, right? Have your children in school, have certain things. How do you leave all that and go back to somewhere that is now unfamiliar to you, unstructured, and you're almost having to start over? How many people want to go and start over? Even for those that want to go and start over, the reality of starting over is very difficult for some people, right? Because you're like, you just don't want to struggle. You know, there's a certain time in your life where you're like, I just don't want to do this anymore. If you don't have a huge sum of savings, you don't already have a house, like, it's difficult to go back. Even when we think about, okay, you may have a family house. Say you're Ghanaian, right? And you have a family house. That family house, when you go to Ghana, is not yours. Do you know how many people book my Airbnb because they don't want to go and stay with family when they come to Ghana? They just don't want to be in the family house. They want to have their own space because that's what they've got used to. They want to come and experience Ghana in a different way. So they book my Airbnb just because of that. It is not I've heard that story so many times. I'm like, okay, cool. Hey, I get it. I personally couldn't stay in a family house either. If you're so used to doing your own thing, putting your thing down here, nobody touches it, you know, coming and going as you please, then that's it. You know, the culture of Ghana is very much everybody's in your business. So I can only imagine you go stay in a family house. Everybody wants to know, hey, where are you going at this time of the night? What time will you be back? Like, the questions that follow up, like, even if you're in your 50s, 60s, you're still a child to somebody. And that that never shakes itself from the culture. So you're always going to be answerable to these people. Hey, who are you with? Even when you pull up at the house or someone comes to pick you up, everybody's looking, who is it? Because everybody can't wait to go and gossip and talk about you. It's in the culture. And so you just don't want to deal with that. You've now had years where you haven't had to deal with that anymore. Now go back to that and make you feel like you're a child again. Who wants to do that? It's not appealing. So therefore, you're going to have to think about, okay, well, if I wanted to move back to Ghana, I'm going to need a house. I'm going to need somewhere that I can lay my head in peace, my own space where no one can disturb me. That's going to take money. That is going to take you building a house or buying a house or something like that. And that is what a lot of people don't want to look at. It's too much stress. That sounds like starting from ground zero. It's like moving back to the West and having to start all over again. Like nobody wants to do that. It's hard work. You know, the West also offers us comfort and convenience, right? Imagine you want something, you order it online. You have electricity on tap as long as you pay your bill. You have water. You have certain things. Even if you lose your job, you go broke. There are systems in place. Well, I don't know about the US, but for the UK, there are systems in place to support you. You can go get housing as long as you're legal. You could do certain things, right? There is safety nets. It's like, why do you want to leave those safety nets? One of the things for me when I was moving to Ghana is people were like, so you're going to leave all these benefits, all this child benefit you're going to leave behind. I'm like, but I can't live my life because someone is giving me something by a shoestring and say, if you stay here, you can have this. I can't live my life like this. Like, this is what I need to do for me. I don't know how this is going to work out for me, but this is the chance I'm willing to take. And that was literally it. But so many people were like it. It's like, hey, so how much benefit do you get that you're going to leave now? Like, that was like one of the first things on people's mind, like what you're going to leave behind if you get up and go to Ghana. And I get it. I do get it. And I'm not knocking any of that because it can be scary to go from where you have security and stability and comfort and convenience and all of that good stuff to somewhere where it's completely the opposite. Now, you want to order something. Where do you even go to find what you need to get? I don't know. Now you've got everything you want to buy is also extortionate. The price is all the way up here where you already know what prices are. You know that the price is here, but now in Ghana, you're going to pay the price that's here. Convenience of doing stuff. Public transport works. If you don't own a car in the UK, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There are so much different types of public transport that you can take and they work. And even if something goes wrong, there's some type of repercussion for you. There are things that you can do. Train, tube, buses, all of that. You know what I'm saying? You can even cycle if you want to cycle. You can cycle power. But come to Ghana. It's like, where do you even pick up this chocho from? You don't even know the chocho that you're even getting on, right? So the chocho's it's like a mini bus, like a 12-seater bus type thing. Those are all individual owned. When you get on it, you don't even know if, your life is at risk or what. You don't know. You just see that there's a hole in the floor. The chocho is going, you don't even know what's happening. Like, you're feeling some water. It's raining, feeling some water come from up the top. The floor too, you can see the ground underneath you. Like, okay, I may be exaggerating slightly. That's not a whole exaggeration, slightly. But, these are things like you don't know how well individuals are even keeping up with their transport. Did they service it? Did they even do the servicing properly? Like, you just don't know. There's so much uncertainty. Is that the right word? Uncertainty. Anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? Even though Ghana does have a bus system, it's so far and few between. It's like for you to rely on that every day, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Most people have to get on a trotro. And the trotros are something else. And you better know how to use that system too. You better know where you're getting down, where you're getting on, and all of that good stuff. And it's not easy. If you're someone who has never been to Ghana, you've never experienced these things, you won't even know how to. Me, Chocho, I can't tell you. I wouldn't know. If someone asked me, where do I go to get Chocho? I'd be like, I don't know, I can't help you. Because I don't know. I don't take Chocho like that. So I don't know. For me, I have to rely on things like Uber. I don't have a car right now, so I have to rely on things like Uber. But it gets me from where I need to get for the most part, even though Uber has its own issues. But we'll address that another time. So it's things like that. So it just makes it very difficult. So in the West, right, public transport is open to everybody. Whereas in Ghana, it's not so easy. In Ghana, you're going to want a car, especially if you've come from the West. You're going to want a car to get you around, you know, just all of that. You have to think about that. So it would be daunting to have to be thinking about going back to Ghana. You know, we also have to remember that just getting little things done in Ghana, the effort that you have to put in, we are tired. We are tired. Just the smallest of things. Things that you think, okay, they must have a system by now where you should be able to do this on the internet, right? You should be able to make a phone call and do certain things. No, you have to go to the office. It's like, oh my goodness, the office for real? You know, once someone says go to the office, basically that's your whole day gone. You're going to sit down there. They'll say, sit down, wait. You'll be waiting. All that time you're waiting, your whole day is gone. Just because you're waiting to do something small, whatever it is. So it's like it sucks the energy out of you. Even me, as much as I love Ghana, everything about it, those are the things that I dread the most, having to deal with some type of system or something, because it's just draining, getting people to actually understand what you want, getting things and not being tossed from here to there or having to pay extra for things to be done for you. Like that one I'm fully on board with. Like that is a frustration that I really don't like to have. So anytime I know that I have to do something like that, work with some type of process, I'm like, like I need to find a way around this, because I cannot. No, I ain't about to be sitting in this office for the next 2 days. I'm not doing that. Whereas in the UK, right, something happens, you pick up the phone, you call. Even when you call, they tell you what number you're on the line. You ain't gonna sit there for 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? Or you sit there for so long and then it's finally your turn and then click, the phone goes down. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. Oh my God, it's the most annoying thing. You think I just made it, hello, and then click, the line just goes dead. You're like, what the hell? After I waited 45 minutes, an hour? Like, it's irritating, you know? And so, but the thing, and there's nowhere to vent to, that's the thing. So a lot of the times when these things happen, right, they're just stuck inside you. Like you can't vent it anywhere because nobody cares. We've all experienced it. We all know, oh, well, that's how, it's like that. It's like that. That's how it is. And so it's frustrating. Whereas if it happens in the West, you know, there's someone you can complain to. Even if they don't want to listen, they have to listen to your complaint. Do you know what I'm saying? So things like that. So doing little things in Ghana can just be completely exhausting. We don't have good systems in place to deal with certain things yet. Don't ask me why. I don't know. Another reason that it's difficult for people to move back is the cost of living, right? Yes, the cost of living is lower in Ghana, but your setup costs, like I said already, you know, accommodation, going to get a car, these are bulk purchases that you're going to get. If you're from the UK, you can't even bring that car unless you're trusting someone to move your steering wheel from one side of the car to the other side. It's like even dealing with the port, dealing with these things like the paperwork to register the car if you bring it over. Like there's certain things that are just going to frustrate you. You're going to have a period where you're going to feel drained from these things, you know. It's not as easy to go back and set up. There are actually people that were born in Ghana that would love to go back, but they just can't because of the effort that they're going to have to do in order to get things done to move over. And moving from one country to another is not cheap, yeah? The shipping, the setup costs, all of that is not cheap. It does not come cheap. And so that's another thing that's off-putting for people. You know, another thing is that if you are Ghanaian, right, a lot of the time you will be the person who is supporting family, right? Even if they're not necessarily your direct family. Sometimes you are sending support to people back home. And it's like when you leave the West, how do you continue to support these people? Are you now going to do it while you're in Ghana? You are seen as the person who's abroad, so you should stay there and be that safety net. The safety net that I was talking about earlier, that the government can give you if something goes wrong. You are the person in Ghana's safety net because you're in the West. And so even though, you know, we could sit here and say, well, you shouldn't have to pay for that. You don't have to do it. We have a sense of responsibility when you're Ghanaian to have to do certain things. And so it's just something that you would have to do. And even if you don't necessarily even want to do it, the burden that comes with having to do it and trying to walk away from that, a lot of people cannot walk away from that. There are certain things that happen within Ghanaian families, let me say this, right, that is very difficult. It's ingrained in us. And so it's very difficult to morally be able to walk away from some of these things, right? It's very difficult to cut certain family members off, even if they're toxic, because of the culture of Ghana or Africa even, I can say, right? It's very difficult to do those things. Whereas, in the West, oh, like, I have a toxic parent, I don't have to deal with you. Do you know what I'm saying? Or I have this, whatever, I don't have to deal with you. Like, it's easy to do it in the West. In Ghana, not so much, because everything is a village. And so you can't it's very difficult to walk away. It's very hard for someone to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. So it'd be difficult for someone to say, I'm not sending money to family anymore. I remember when I came to Ghana in 2007, I remember seeing one of my uncles, and I was like, I remember feeling so bad for him because he wasn't really in a good state, right, financially, and I felt so bad for him. So when I went back to the UK, I was actually supporting him financially for a while. And then, but I had kids and I couldn't do it anymore. But having to stop that, I felt so bad. But at that point, because I had a balance of the West, I was like, look, this is what I've got to do. Because I'm having kids now. I'm in a different phase of my life. I'm not single anymore. I can't just be sending money like that. And so it was hard for me to cut off financially that tie. So I can only imagine what it is like for other people who have even been raised with these people, right? And then you're going to try and cut them off financially when you've been sending them money for years. That's not an easy task to do. It is really, really not. Another thing here is judgment. Ghanaians like to judge each other, okay? Let me say it here. They like to judge. They are your judge, jury, executor. So what I mean by that, right, is, okay, say, okay, I was raised in Ghana. I've lived in the West for some years. Now I want to come back home. Now people are expecting you to have a certain lifestyle. You've come from Abuchi. So you should have a particular lifestyle. You should be able to afford. What do you mean you don't have a car? You're not going to buy a car. You're not doing this, you're not doing that. That you're expected to have this great lifestyle. And if you don't have it, the whispers that will come behind your back, so she who's been away for so long, she can't even do this, she can't even do that, she doesn't even have money, she doesn't have this, she doesn't have that. Like, the judgment that comes from that can be so harsh, and if you can't live up to other people's expectations, it's seen that you're a failure. When you went all the way to Abuchi and you failed. Abuchi is like the West, right? So it's like you went all the way to Abuchi and this is what you've come back with nothing. What have you done with yourself? What have you done with your life? You have nothing. You can't even, house you don't have, car you don't have, small going out you can't go. So what did you do with all that time that you had? It's better that you go back. Like that whole shame thing is very, very, very real. They may not even say it to your face, but like if you have been raised in a Ghanaian household, you know what comes next because you've seen it done to other people and you know it's going to be done to you. That is how it is. So for a lot of people, they don't want to be, that's embarrassing. They don't want to be embarrassed. So if you haven't got all your ish together in the West, there's no way that you're coming back to Ghana to try and establish yourself there and say, okay, now I'm starting over. It's not like the diaspora moving back, right? Where, you have no connection to Ghana and you just come. People understand you're starting over. And so, you're not expected to have it all together. No one's judging you. No one's... No. Those of us that are Ghanaian, we're being judged. People are looking at us, oh, you haven't done this, you haven't done... Like, it's different. And we don't want to experience that embarrassment because it is embarrassing. There is a shame attached to that if you can't do certain things. And so people would rather spare themselves. So because of that, they just won't move back, And another thing is that when it comes to Ghana is that the system is not really built well to accept returnees. If you think about most people's journey, right, whether they're Ghanaian, they have Ghanaian lineage or not, right, trying to come back, the number of things you have to try and put in place for yourself make it going back very difficult. If you don't have a business, how do you think about getting a job, right? How do you first land in Ghana? If you when it comes to housing, how do you what are you gonna do? How do you establish yourself? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, the system is not there's no direction. There's no like, okay, you're moving to Ghana. Okay, this is what you need to do, X, Y, Z, right? It's not all laid out for you. It's not easy. There's not like some package deal that can say, okay, well, you're moving back to Ghana. Okay, well, here's your package. This is what you need to do. And this is how we can help you achieve these things quickly, so you don't have to struggle to do it. You don't have to struggle with, trying to get a license, trying to set up Momo. You don't have to find out these things in bits from here and there and everywhere. There's no clear set path for you to be able to do it. There's no easy way for you to do it. You just have to figure out. Some people will come, get an Airbnb for a while until they figure out, how they're gonna live. Are they gonna try and build somewhere? Are they gonna try and rent somewhere? Even that, when you rent, the amount of money that you have to pay up front, it's like, so where's the accommodation we can do month to month to help you out while you're trying to establish yourself? The system is not set up to help you it's not set up to receive any type of returning, diaspora or whatever. It's not there to help you. And so if you're not ready to deal with some of those frustrations, it's an off-put to want to come, right? Because you just don't want to have to deal with that. You don't even know where to start, especially if you don't know anybody. A lot of people move to Ghana and don't have any ties, don't have connections. They don't really know anybody. And so trying to start your life in Ghana from that perspective can be very tough, especially if you're not very resilient. Then it's going to be a hard slog. It really is. You have to deal with bureaucracy, corruption, systems not working. Like, who is thinking, okay, yeah, this is a great deal? No one's thinking that's a great deal. We do it because sometimes it's the lesser of two evils, but not because we enjoy it. And so really Ghana needs to put some things in place to, which I believe, I guess, to be fair, they are trying to do that. That's what the whole diaspora network movement is about, right? It's trying to help people to move back, but it's not a complete system yet, right? People are still struggling. People are still falling through the cracks. Things are still happening, right? People are still getting taken advantage of. Scams are still being run. Things are still happening to people. People are still losing their life savings. All of this stuff that people don't want to deal with. Nobody wants to move to Ghana and have that happen and then have to go back to the West with their tail between their legs because it didn't work out how it was supposed to work out, because there are no protective measures in place for people when they move to Ghana. And that is what is an off-put for many people. Ghana will welcome you with words. Come back. It's the year of return. It's the time is now, this, that, and the other. But the systems will frustrate you. So Ghana will welcome you with words, but frustrate you with systems. And that is the unfortunate thing about it. But then still, at the same time, Ghana is one of the easier places to move to compared to some other countries, not all, some other countries, in terms of, because Ghana is, speaks English, the door is very much open for returnees and all of that good stuff. And so Ghana is a good place to start off if that's what you want to do. And let's not forget, right, for those that have been in the West for years, right, trying to move back to Ghana feels different. As much as you want to say, I'm Ghanaian and I know Ghana, it's just going to feel different. It's almost like you are living in this memory that no longer exists. So going back is going to be very emotional for you because everything has changed. As much as it hasn't changed, it has changed. People are not the same. I remember speaking to someone a few years back and they're like, they want to move back to Ghana, but everybody's moved. Like the place that they grew up in, people don't live there anymore. And so if they were to go back, what are they going back to? Like they don't see what it is that they've got to hold on to. People have moved on. And so it's like very much, even though you're Ghanaian, having to start over. And like, do people really want to start over, have to go and reestablish these connections and all that? It's difficult for people. Sometimes even when people do consultations with me, they're like, I'm Ghanaian, and I want to move back to Ghana, but honestly, I don't know Ghana anymore. Like, I need help. And they're asking me for help because I'm in the current of what Ghana is now. Ghana is not what they're used to anymore. Things have changed so much that they're having to get advice on what it is like to be there. What happens in Ghana? How do you do certain things? They're having to find out those things all over again. That's a pretty tough place to be, I would say. Very, very difficult. Once you've established your life in the West, right? How do you move your kids? That's another battle that a lot of people have, right? Is how do you take your kids from the West and move them to Ghana when, especially when they're a certain age, right? Because you feel like they're building their own life. It's like you have to make a decision of whether you're going to just uproot them. They have no choice. This is what we're doing. You guys are going to have to make some new friends, whatever. Do you take them out of that world? Or do you wait until they're a certain age and when you have your life for yourself, then you make the decision for yourself to move back? That's a tough one. Do you put your kids first? Well, I guess you could argue that, yes, you are putting your kids first by picking them up and taking them to Ghana because, sometimes the West doesn't hold good things for our kids. But it's like you have to really make that decision. Are you going to take them away from a life that they already know? Or are you going to wait for them to be of a certain age so that you can go and make that decision for yourself that you want to return to the West and let them continue to establish themselves? So that you want to return to Ghana and let them establish themselves in the West. That is very, very tricky. That's a tricky one. I personally think that if you're going to take children and move them to Ghana, you should do it when they're a very young age, when they haven't really established so many connections. But hey, that's a personal decision. So hey, that's up to you. A lot of people, they do miss Ghana. It's not that they hate Ghana. They do miss Ghana, but Ghana has just changed so much. It's almost like, I guess, trying to go back to an ex where you've had so much time apart. It's like, how do you now? It's like figuring things out. You both have now had so much different life experience. Like, how do you now come back together? It's like that uncertainty. You don't really know the person anymore. You know them, but you don't really know them. That kind of thing is going to feel very, very difficult, very, very awkward. I would say if most people were given a chance, they would love to move back to Ghana or move to Africa, right? But the reality of what that means to people, they can't, just because Ghana's not ready to receive them yet. Ghana, as I said before, Ghana is not ready to welcome people back like that. We're still putting things into place. We're still trying to see how we can work together to make it easy for people to retransition back into Ghana. It's hard for people who even have no connection to move to Ghana, let alone retransitioning back. It's a tough place to be because things change and they never ever stay the same. And so sometimes, the Ghana that we had in our memory all those years ago is not the Ghana that is now. I remember even when I moved to Ghana, some thoughts that I had as a child, that things that I remembered as a child, that carefree lifestyle, playing on the beach, that didn't exist when I moved back to Ghana. And so I had to adjust myself to that. And I was never born in Ghana. I was born in the UK. But just those years where I had come to Ghana as a child, I remembered Ghana a particular way. And then when I moved back, that wasn't the same Ghana that I was moving to. It was different. And so I can only imagine what it's like for people who have that experience of having lived for however many years in Ghana, moved to the West and trying to move back. Ghana is not the same. It has changed. You've almost been left behind. And that's got to be very, very tough. I'm going to leave the video right there. Let me know what you think about what I've said. Let me know if it even applies to you. Are you someone who was born in Ghana, moved to the West, and would like to move back to Ghana, but for one reason or another you can't? I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If you are someone in the diaspora that has no connection to Ghana, let me know what you think about this video. Do you agree? Can you understand what I'm saying? What's it been like for you in transition? Let me know all that good stuff. I love to read about it. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up the video there. If you would like to do a one-to-one consultation with me, feel free to send me an email to dela@mortodela.com. I didn't say that very clearly, did I? dela@mortodela.com, and we can go from there. All right, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, I am out.